Welcome friends. Today I will be discussing about an important topic about the evolution of reservation system in India. We all believe that the constitutional framers have exclusively contributed the reservation system to provide a level playing field to the SCs and STs. Later on it was extended to the OBCs. But this is completely a myth. If you go back to the history will make it clear that there are other stakeholders, including Britishers, who have contributed to the evolution of reservation as well as social justice system in India. So this is the main aim of this video, to enlighten all of you about this particular aspect is concerned. Let us come back to the original constitution. Original constitution has contemplated two types of reservations. One, political reservations, that is proportional representations to the SCs and STs in the lower houses of the assemblies and in the Lok Sabha by virtue of Article 332 to 334. And one more reservation, that is by virtue of Article 16 Class 4, which talks about reservations for SCs and STs in government job. The former is proportional representation, the later is, that is employment reservation, is just adequate representation or fair representation. These two concepts have been picked from Pune Pact 1932. Please remember this. Now, you also have the definition of the term SCs and STs under Article 341, 342. Now you have a 342A also, that is dealing with OBCs. So we need to analyze how this term has got its origin. We have to go back to the British Raj. This term has been used officially for the first time in the House of Commons way back in 1918 by an MP called Charles Rabas, who describes in the House of Commons meeting that depressed class means in India those who are suffering from untouchability. What is the criteria for untouchability has been laid down by Hutton, who is the chief architect of the 1931 census. In fact, the term depressed class has been used in the 1901 census as well as 1911 census, but it didn't describe what constitutes depressed class is concerned, but that has been spelled out clearly by 1931 census conducted by Hutton. Okay, this is very important. Hutton prescribes three criteria for identifying untouchability. One, any person who suffers, okay, by way of untouchability means any person who suffers denying of entry into the temple. Any person who is not allowed to enter into the temple, yes, that is criteria 1 for identifying untouchability. Criteria 2, any person who is not allowed, the access is denied to get the water from the public well, that is criteria number 2. Criteria number 3 is that any person who is not allowed to take education in the public school. When a person cumulatively fulfills the aforesaid 3 criteria, he comes within the ambit of untouchability as prescribed by the Hutton Committee, prescribed in the 1931 census. Then the term depressed class has been officially defined in a report called Start Committee report. In the Start Committee, Ambedkar was also one of the members. This committee defines depressed class means 3 categories. 1, persons who are suffering from untouchability, persons from aboriginal hills and tribes, and persons belonging from other backward classes, OBCs. So who can be included within the term OBCs for the purpose of reservation? This question has been raised way back in 1923 itself by the then Bombay government in the British Raj. That government has come to a conclusion that any person who are suffering to the equivalent of SCs and STs, that persons can be given reservation within the ambit of OBCs. This view has been maintained by our Honorable Supreme Court also even after the commencement of the Constitution by virtue of M.R. Balaji case. Fortunately, it has been reversed by our Honorable Supreme Court in Indira Sagani case, which I can discuss it little later about it. So now we know who is an SC and ST, that is the first two part of the depressed class defined by Start Committee happens to be SCs and STs by virtue of Article 341 and 342. The OBCs as explained by us, the 1931 census plus Kaka Kalelkar committee report plus Nathan Gowda committee report modified by Mandal Commission report called as OBCs as has been approved are embedded under Article 342A currently. So in order to understand SCs and STs, one should refer all these things, that is Pune Pact plus Start Committee report plus Indira Sagani case. These are very important. For OBCs, one should refer again the Start Committee plus we should read M.R. Balaji case. Of course, it is overruled to a greater extent in Indira Sagani case. Plus Mandal Commission report and Nathan Gowda committee report. These are the few things which you would understand to know who is coming within the ambit of OBCs. Mere reading of Article 341, 342, 342A will never help us. So this is part 1. Now let us go back. The reservation for SCs and STs, how it has come, what is its origin? Whether it has been granted first time in the Indian Constitution, the answer is no. It has been done for the first time officially Indian Congress itself, Indian National Congress itself recognizes only in 1970 as a political issue. In 1919, this is very important, in the year 1919, the British government itself has provided reservations for SCs and STs in the provincial assemblies. Okay, this is very important by way of nomination, of course. And it has been improved in 1935 Government of India Act. That is a different story. We will come back to that little later. So it is a myth that the reservation has been introduced by virtue of Article 332 in the Indian Constitution. It has been practiced much earlier to that. Then we should remember one more fact called Pune Pact and the round table conferences prior to the Pune Pact. There is one more award which we should remember, communal award rendered by the then UK Prime Minister MacDonald. He has accepted the separate electoral demand put forth by Ambedkar and fair reservation in the government jobs again put forth by Ambedkar. But Gandhiji has accepted the government reservations in the government jobs for SCs and STs, fair reservation, no problem. But he opposed the separate electorate. And finally, they reached a compromise between Ambedkar and Gandhiji in the form of Pune Pact, where Pune Pact stipulates the two things. One, proportional representation for the SCs and STs in the elected bodies, namely the lower houses of the state legislature and the Lok Sabha of the parliament. This is very important. Fair representation or adequate representation, what we call it now, for the SCs and STs in the government jobs. Please remember, 12.5% reservation has been already provided by the British government itself prior to 1932. So that's why Ambedkar also doesn't insist for proportional representation for the SCs and STs in the government job. He demanded only fair representations for the SCs and STs in the government job. So this is very important. Then in 1948, Ambedkar makes a speech in the Constituent Assembly. There he says, reservation is an exception to the rule, and if there are 100 jobs, one cannot expect 70 jobs in the reserved category because the exception shall not follow the rule. This is a mere speech delivered by Ambedkar, and unfortunately the same has been carried, though there is nothing called letter of the law in the Constitution. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court of India has adopted the same in M.R. Balaji case by a judge called Gajendra Khatkar, who has delivered the majority judgment in this case. There they brought the 50% rule because reservation is only an exception, and they also said it is an exception, not a rule. This is very unfortunate. But however, this has been modified in Indira Sagani case There, the Supreme Court has rightly reiterated that reservation is not an exception to the equality principle. Reservation is very much part and parcel of equality, because equal ought to be treated equally, unequal ought not to be treated equally. To put it differently, there are two different types of equality contemplated under Article 14. One is formal, procedural, another is substantive due process or substantive equality. In order to achieve substantive equality, it is very important to provide level playing field for both SCs and SCs and OBCs. If you get that view, then necessarily reservations can never be an exception to the rule of equality, but it's a very much forming part of equality itself. This is a very important fact. Unfortunately, the trend modern days is different. We are getting a different trend from the Supreme Court, particularly in the NEET reservation case, Tamil Nadu versus Union of India, state of Tamil Nadu versus Union of India, where all the political parties in Tamil Nadu approaching the Supreme Court for invoking reservations for OBCs in the NEET. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court said reservation is not at all a fundamental right. Then why it is existing in part 3? And please remember, Indira Saghani case has been decided by 9 judges bench. But this NEET reservation case is not decided by, I am afraid, not even by 5 judges. How can you overrule a judgment given by a 9 judge bench case in Indira Saghani? This is a very unfortunate one. And reservation is very much part and parcel of equality. This has been sounded long ago by a great dissenting judge called Justice Subba Rao in his dissenting view in Devadasan case. His view has been upheld by the majority view in Indira Saghani case. Indira Saghani case still largely holds the field of reservation is concerned. Now I have to come back to the OBC reservations. This is very important. OBC's reservation has been started as early as back in 1902 by a king in Kolhapur, who brought this reservation for 50% of reservations have been granted to OBCs. This has been supported by the then Governor of Bombay as well as Secretary of State in UK. Both of these things have been confirmed during their letters, correspondence and other records. And this has been accepted after the First Amendment. In Chambagam Durai Rajan case, this is very important. The state of Tamil Nadu issues a communal GO, including, this provides reservation including for Brahmins. The reservations for the Brahmins have been struck down by our Honorable Supreme Court in Chambagam Durai Rajan case. Please remember, Chambagam Durai Rajan case consists of 2 cases that has been clubbed with Venkatraman case also. Venkatraman case is talking about reservation in employment. But Chambaga Durai Rajan case talks about education, reservation in education. The Supreme Court has expressed its doubt, is there any reservation for the OBCs or SCs, STs in the education sector is concerned. In order to overcome the Supreme Court judgment as well as to clarify the doubts expressed by the Honorable Supreme Court in Chambagam Durai Rajan case, the Constituent Assembly, that the first Parliament of India, has passed the First Amendment, inserting Article 15 Clause 4. Please remember, for 15.4 as well as 16.4, social backwardness is very much important. Okay, for getting reservations both in education as well as in employment, social backwardness is an essential criteria. In addition to that, getting reservations, for the purpose of getting reservation in education, one should also be educationally backward along with social backwardness. But however, the present government has brought an amendment in the Constitution by virtue of 103rd Amendment, which provides for reservation for the EWS, what they call economically weaker section of the population. They are neither socially backward nor educationally backward. However, they are granted reservation both in education as well as in employment. This goes very much against the Indira Saghani case as well as Chambagam Durai Rajan case. Anyhow, let us wait because the case is sub judice. Let's hope the good sense will prevail over. And apart from that, there is one more concept. The creamy layer concept has been adopted for the OBCs from Mandal Commission case onwards. Okay, this has been upheld in Nagarajan case and subsequently. And subcategorization within OBCs have also been upheld by Indira Saghani case. Indira Saghani case, in that way, it overrules the M.R. Balaji case. Okay, that also we should remember. Then there is another issue whether SC, STs can also be, the criminal concept can also be extended to the SCs and STs. This is a question lingering before the Supreme Court. And currently it is also considering whether subcategorization is feasible for SCs and STs after the Chinnaya case. So please remember, we should remember the few facts. Pune Pact plus First Amendment of the Constitution of India plus Chambagam Durairajan case, and to some extent M.R. Balaji, of course it has been overruled, and Indra Saghani case are the major additions of the reservations for SCs and STs is concerned. Along with that, we should also remember a few committees: TAT committee, then Kaka Kalelkar committee, Gowda committee, and Mandal commission should be remembered for OBC's reservations, along with the Sahu Chhatrapati Raja of Kolhapur, who for the first time brought reservations for the OBCs. And we should also remember OBCs have also been granted reservations in the provincial assemblies of Bombay and Madras prior to the commencement of the constitutions. However, that idea has been done away after the commencement of the constitution is concerned. Jai Hind, God bless you all. Thank you.